Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to our third live at lunch, and today we are streaming from my MacBook directly, so I don't have a microphone. So I apologize if my voice sounds a little weird, but welcome to live at lunch. I have a little bit of coffee left, and we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's no pun intended. But we're going to talk about the Capitol debacle and what happened last week on January 6th to the capital of the United States of America, in Washington, D.C. If you live outside the United States, I'm sure it's not a big deal, at least from your point of view, at least from local things happening. But it still is in certain respects. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about a book that I've been reading too, and we'll get started actually with the Capitol protest. So let's dive in. Um, the Capitol protest was really interesting, and I didn't go to it. I stayed home. I had to work, so it's not like I did anything with that. However, it was interesting to me because it was one of the largest protests, at least during the pandemic, for sure. I think no one can argue that, and it was one of the um, probably the largest not protest, I guess, but the largest crowd that Donald Trump has had over the past several months. I know he's had several rallies going into the election, and even afterwards. I know he visited Georgia and whatnot, but we're not really here to talk about those things. We're talking about what happened. So in D.C., the protest, which was I think just called the Save America rally was scheduled for the 6th. I think it was like 11 o'clock or something like that. Um, and as far as I know, Trump just talked for like over an hour, and it was interesting because if you listen to the speech, if you know Donald Trump, you you realize that he's giving you a lot of detail. He's giving you a lot of stuff that is kind of like over your head when it comes to numbers or whatever. And it's kind of boring to listen to. It is kind of bad. Not in the sense of if you are a conservative or you support Trump. It is interesting because he just talks about the alleged steal of the election, and I'm not here to debate that, but I'm just here to talk about again what took place afterwards. So let's talk about what happened after the speech. The crowd went down Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the main drag in Washington D.C., the main road. And people crowded around the Capitol. And from there, no one can really tell you exactly what happened because you have to realize that the media in the United States, they will tarnish conservatives like no other, and that's just the reality of things. And you cannot debate that because that is a given. The media is progressive. The media supports the left agenda. Okay, and that's whether you disagree with me or not. It is what it is. It's the truth. So you can't really find what happened for like who was the instigator. Was it Antifa? Was it a few people that are passionate about Trump, and then they just kind of broke through the barricade, and that's how they got into the Capitol. um, no one can really know for sure if that is it. There's video evidence to support both ways. What I'm really concerned about, though, is we had a few friends of mine that just so happen to be believers, and err on the side of conservatism, but they also, kind of entertain progressive ideology. Which is very strange, but they had mentioned, like, they saw the Confederate flag, Nazi symbols, symbols of hate, symbols of racism. To be honest, I never really saw a ton of that, and that, of course, doesn't make it right. Obviously, if there's one symbol, it totally discredits that person, and they're trying to incite violence. So we have to move past that. Um, but that was kind of disturbing to me, because you do have a select few people that are carrying that, during the protest, and then now in the Capitol, we had people that went into the office of the Speaker of the House, which was kind of funny to me. Did they ransack the place again? I don't see pictures. I the only pictures I saw were in the hallways. I saw that guy, put his foot on Nancy Pelosi's desk, which was kind of funny. Um, and I guess they wrote on a folder or something like that. So it's just interesting. We had a lot of I had a lot of fun like looking at that. I don't support the Speaker of the House, with her progressive agenda, to be honest. But I do support America, and I do support order. It was disturbing to me that we had people that still disrespected the police and disrespected those in authority. That was wrong. And that's my main point today. And I know we had like 6 minutes and 15 seconds at the live at lunch, and we're talking about the meat of it. So, what was wrong about the Capitol? The thing that was wrong about it was we had people that disrespected the authority, right? We had people that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, if you disrespected the authority, not good at all. Let's go back a little bit in the year, and I know if you support leftist ideology, I apologize for triggering you, but we had BLM protests in May and June, and they did the same thing. We had people inciting riots. We had people, uh, you know, just doing horrible things, lighting things on fire, peaceful protests, and all that. And then you have the thing that at the Capitol, they're both bad. They're both bad. So what is the Christian response? You need to call it out. And not everything is black and white, I understand, but and that's not a racist quote. It's just you can't put one side and lump them into a basket case. Not all Republicans are deplorables, and not all leftists are crazy progressives. So we have to understand that we have to see both sides of the coin. The protests in May and June were wrong. If it incited violence, if it ruined businesses, especially small business owners, they were dying when it came to the economy due to the pandemic. If you live in New York, I have no idea how you're doing it, to be honest, if you're a small business owner. So I give you credit. And then on top of the protest, it's just like people, how could you even survive? And then you have people in DC rally do the same thing, which was wrong also. So it's very, very sad, very, very sad. And I can't speak on behalf of those people again because I wasn't there. And I do support the president, and I do support authority. I do support our police officers. It was sad to hear that one had passed away, but there was a civilian that was shot also. So it's certainly a debacle. So going forward, what should be the Christian response when you see something like that? Well, number one, you need to make sure that the doors of your church are open, that people are welcome to worship with you, whoever you are. If you attend a church, I know that it's tough with security protocols. And I'm just scrolling through the speech here real quick. If you wanted to find the transcript of Trump's speech, you can. It's on rev.com. So you can judge for yourself if the president incited violence. And I would encourage you to do that. That was a tangent, I'm sorry. But again, number one, make sure the doors of your church are open. And number two, I would say listen more than speak. If you are a progressive, if you are a conservative, it doesn't matter. If you're a believer, you need to be listening more than speaking. And it's so funny. Live at lunch, I'm another talking head on the airwaves, which is not good. But I think I need to speak my mind and let people know, especially if you support me and subscribe to me, who you're dealing with. I do support Christianity, number one. My faith is number one. My family is second, and then politics is kind of like third or fourth. Okay, so I hope you realize that going forward. Um, but yeah, keep your doors to your church open. Accept people the way they are, but understand that God is holy, and it's His job to change them. And we are the farmers that plant the seeds. That doesn't mean that we can't call out people. And this is where we get to the book that I have recently. It's called Saving Truth by Abdu Murray. This is a fantastic book, and I encourage you to check it out because this guy is from RZIM. It's Rabbi Zacharias' ministry. He's really big into apologetics. And I believe Abdu Murray is the new president of RZIM. So after you've thought about, you make sure that the doors of your church are open to the people. Number two, you listen more than speak. Number three, do as much research as you can by reading the Word. Number one, and then number two, reading as many Christian resources as possible. So with Saving Truth, Abdu Murray, I don't want to give too much away because obviously this is a book that you can purchase on your own. It is on Amazon. I think it's going for just under $20. But that's something that you can purchase in your own time. I'm going to read from page 66. He's talking about this term. It's called the culture of confusion. And that certainly it refers to what we're living in right now. And note that this was written in 2018. Okay, so he's talking about things that haven't happened yet. He's talking about the pandemic, but he doesn't name the pandemic. He doesn't even know what's happening. This is 2 years ago that he published this book. So let's check this out. This is a quote from another author. And he says, "Is there anything more dangerous than dissatisfied and irresponsible gods who don't know what they want?" So he's talking about us. And I want to say I want to go backwards a little bit just to make sure I'm quoting the right person. That was, I believe, Singer, I believe. Yeah, Singer. And I don't know the first name of that. Let's see if I can go backwards a little bit. Peter Singer, I want to say. Yes. So that was from David Singer or Peter Singer. But sorry, we're going to continue on to what Abdu says. So he says, the world seems to be spiraling out of control, for sure. And yet we cling to our idol of autonomy, relying on our own ingenuity to deliver us. Is it possible that we have become so confused that we mistake our decay as flourishing? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me read that again. Is it possible that we have become so confused that we mistake our decay as flourishing? I think that is absolutely applicable to what we're dealing with today. We pride ourselves with our environment, whatever it is, if it's church, if it's school, if it's work, whatever. And even if it's falling apart at the seams around us, we defend it. But if it's wrong, we need to call it out. So that's it's interesting. I'm going to continue on. He goes on to say in the next paragraph, and the subheading is the ironic sacrifice, losing our freedom in the quest for autonomy. He says it will be easy for a charismatic and powerful individual, get this, or perhaps a group of them, to start undermining some people's freedoms to serve other people's autonomy. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, people, an individual or a group of individuals can undermine your freedom for their sake. Okay? He says this may sound so far-fetched, but it is already happening in our day. 2 years ago. And I wrote down, this is totally mirroring what happened with the government response with COVID. Wow. That is crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. So he goes on to say, if someone is a biological male but asks you to call him a woman, the state will punish you if you refuse to do so. Oh, yeah, we've seen that before. And in other words, the state will take away your freedom if you fail to bow to someone else's autonomy. Holy moly. One more time. In other words, the state will take away your freedom if you fail to bow to someone else's autonomy. So, this book is about the current culture of confusion. This is what Abdu's talking about. And he's saying that instead of living in an era of postmodernism, you've heard about that. Oh, hello, senor. Instead of living in an era of postmodernism, we're living in an era of post-truth. Postmodernism is basically like your truth is your truth, and whatever you believe in is fine. As long as it doesn't trample on my beliefs, that's postmodernism. Abdu Murray is saying we're living in an era called post-truth, which is basically like it's taking postmodernism and basically blowing it out of the water. Okay, post-truth saying like, even if it's wrong, it's still right, and you just have to deal with it. And the state will enforce it, and it's crazy. It's basically what we've seen with COVID protocols: wear your masks, shut up, don't ask questions, and something called, you've heard this phrase, the science. What in the world is that? Science is science. We study it in school. I'm at school right now. I teach in school and I support science. STEM is like the big thing, right? But the science, this is ridiculous as an Ohio State person saying the Ohio State University. I'm so sorry, but the Ohio State University lost last night in the championship. Sorry, football players, or those who watch the game. But you cannot elevate an institution further than truth. He writes down that truth has lost its arbiter, or basically, and I want to go back to, oh, there we go. Truth was no longer the arbiter of human conduct. And that's when he talks about the book of Judges, when the people of Israel are doing whatever they want. They want to get their own king, forget God. We're going to have a man on the throne, and we're going to basically answer to him, and whatever they say goes, right? Truth is no longer valid. And one more time, just so I get the quote correctly, truth was no longer the arbiter of human conduct. Okay. He talks about Pilate in the New Testament. Pilate, he asks the question, what is truth, right? And that's a question that you need to ask every single day. We know as believers that Christ is truth. If you see Christ, you see truth. But if you are seeing something else or contradictory to Scripture, it's not truth, okay? And we need to call it out as it is. I'm going to end with that because I don't want to talk your ear off, but thanks for sticking with me. Again, that book is called Saving Truth. Abdu Murray, he's from RZIM, and the subheading or subtitle says Finding Meaning and Clarity in a Post-Truth World. You need to check this out because it is so cool. I'm going to continue to talk about that book in the next Live at Lunch, and hopefully I can get through the rest of it. I'm in the halfway point, so we'll see what happens. I'm sorry again if you're an Ohio State fan and you lost last night. There's always next year. And if you're a Cleveland fan, you have at least Baker Mayfield to cheer on for the Browns. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, guys. God bless, and I will see you next time in the next tutorial or in the next Live at Lunch. So thank you very much. Have a great day. God bless.